Hello, how are you? Good, I hope? Yes, I'm sure you are. Today we're going to be growing our tail, and that seems a bit weird because we haven't got one, so we have to think about the coccyx at the end of the vertebrae, the last vertebrae rather, before the sacrum, which is the hard bit. So you need a good imagination. So start off lying down, how we normally do, and think of an animal with a long tail, and a good one is a ring-tailed lemur. So we have our feet on the mat, don't we? Lying down. And so it's all about the lumbar region here, really, and protecting that. So a lot depends on where we put our feet, because if we have them up here, it's not that comfortable, there's a bit of pressure here. If we have them too far out, then the hips start to tip, and then there's a space under the vertebrae. So we need to get that medium place, or what's comfortable for you, because we're all different, and we've all got different length spines and flexibility and everything. So have a little wiggle around and see how, where your feet feel better. So, you know, just experiment, bring them in and bring them out and see what happens. And then I like to have a little walk with the pelvis going towards the heels a little bit, and then maybe bring my shoulders down and maybe have a little massage, see how that feels, and then I can feel, I can relax there. So just doing a bit of experimenting and then closing your eyes. And then just focusing on your breath. And can you send your breath to that area? Making the breath a little deeper on the exhalation. And as you breathe into that area, start to be aware that when you breathe out, you're going to start to relax and soften there quite a bit. And then as you do that deep exhalation, your body tells you when it wants to inhale again. A nice deep breath if it suits you. And then just exhaling into that, around that lumbar area. Letting go there, and the rest of the body after that. Cool. Another couple of breaths like that. Just with that awareness of what happens there, how your tummy feels. Becoming softer and softer in that area, the rest of the body, and just a gentle breath now of awareness, of just letting the breath do its own thing. To come up, so we're going to walk feet in, on to the side, come up with sitting with your legs crossed on your, sitting on your block, and have a stretch up when you're ready. Lengthening, with the spine lengthening, but the shoulders not up by your ears. Bring your hands back to your knees. Breathe in and lift the breastbone. Breathe out and nice and heavy in the pelvis. But the tummy working a little bit. So with the arms up, now breathe in and lengthen. And breathe out and down quite heavily in the hips, heavily in the hips, heavily in the hips. And release. And then we're going to do some work on the cats, a bit more vigorous work on the cat and the dog and everything, instead of the sun salute today. So coming up and coming to all fours. Under your shoulders, knees up to your hips, a little bit back. And then front of the feet on the mat. And then, now think of that tail, and you can do this little swishing with the tail, right? So, as you breathe in and swish the tail up and back, and look a bit along the mat. Now as you breathe out, now swishing it under, and it's a long tail coming right through, and you can see the tip of it there, and then tuck the head in, and can you move that tail forward any more by tucking under, and then swish out, long and out, in, and a swish back in, curling up, and trying to see more of your navel, and breathing in and swishing it out, and looking forward, and looking at the end of the tail, which is along here somewhere there, and then so keep a bit of a rhythm going, so swishing it under again and through between the knees, and then swishing it over your head. So you have to imagine where you're going to put the tail. So swishing it under, and then swishing it up and over the head, and up. You might just see the tip of it. It's a nice stripy one. So a couple of times there, a bit more of a swish with all that, with the breath. As you breathe in, if you want to breathe out and through the mouth, and swish, swish out and over. Back to neutral, and have a little wiggle side to side, a little balance while you're wiggling, stretching the right arm forward, and you're using your pelvic floor for these and the deep muscles of the abdomen. So then just balancing and swishing, and then next time we swish, we're going to swish the tail a little bit more, just a couple of times, and then swish side to side, and release. And then we're going to dog pose to stretch out, head down, and now those pelvic floor, the deep abdomen muscles, what are they doing up there? Are you breathing while you're keeping them up? Can you keep them up and bring the heels down? Can you slide those shoulder blades down? And maybe the heels will go down a little bit more when you open up the backs of the knees. And then, do you think we can go into a high plank from there? You might have to move the feet back a little bit. So now the shoulders are over the wrists and the legs are straight, aren't they? And then walk forward into dog with the head up. Stretch the heels back. Lift the thighs a little. So and you're stretching out that tail behind you now. And come up into with head down, and then come to kneeling. Now a lot of people, or some people, the wrists, it's a bit hard on the wrist. You can actually use your knuckles. So you could try that out using dog pose again. It does work. Or as you know, rolling your mat. Putting your hands on there. So if you like doing that, okay. So again, there's the dog pose. I'm sort of a little plank now, high plank. And how much of a straight line can you get your body in? So, not saggy thighs. Stretch the heels back, move the shoulders back. Try and get the head in line here. Now you have to visualise the back of your neck and your back. And tummy working, the tail stretched behind you, and that will help your stability. Okay, down into child now. And release down. Fold your arms and place your forehead on your arms. And really let go around here. There's a bit of a stretch now here, isn't it? And as you move your bottom back, now try and get your bottom on your heels if you can, even if you've got to bring your arms a bit forward or use a block or anything. Because then you can feel that this lumbar region is stretching a bit here, and it's nice. And then we're going to come up. And come into Tadasana. You'll need a belt now. And getting a bit hot now. So get your belt ready and double it. Stand in Tadasana. Right. So have you lined everything up in your Tadasana? Ears over shoulders, over hips, knees, ankles. And moving the belt about shoulder width between the thumb and the first finger. Stretch up. And that heavy tail is down. Now you're not tucking or squeezing your bottom. You're just thinking about having the heavy tail, and it makes you nice and stable. And the arms are even. You're getting a nice stretch. You can be stretched side to side and keep balance of the body, so the body is nice and strong. So from the hips down, I'm staying stable, and the tummy is working everything. The hips are compact, and down, and release. A little wiggle out, and then put the belt down on the mat. So you're going to have your heels on it, so make sure you've got about the middle of the belt there. And we're going to have the feet a little bit apart, and it's the heels that are on the belt. Okay, so have a look behind there. The belt should be in a straight line. And if your heels are going over the belt at the back, then you need to change that, don't you? Bring the heels a bit more forward. Then hold you can bring it And just round a bit if you like, and a bit under the head. Or you can just hold it and like so. Elbows out a little. So immediately what happens, you're spreading your toes, or your feet facing forwards. So the sides of your feet lined up with the side of the mat. Spreading the toes out and forward. And then gently pulling on the belt, elbows out, your chest is open. Lift the crown of your head, imagine that crown as well, I don't want it to fall off. And so what do you have to do to have a nice firm posture? So, pelvic floor, the deep muscles of the tummy, in and up, tail is down, the shoulders are down, the chest is open. You can make it a little bit wider now with the belt so that your chest is open a little bit more. Make sure if you're looking at the screen or anything, you've got to readjust your head so that's still in the right place. Don't want it dropping off. And that feels quite nice and stable, doesn't it? And just have another pull on the belt now. Bring the arms a little bit back. So, and then drop the belt. See how the body feels nice and stable. You can even have a little arm swing with the body not moving. Or you can have a little turn side to side. And then these abdominal muscles have to start working. Bring the hands around your waist. And again, that heavy tail is keeping you very, very stable. And all these muscles are working. And release a little wiggle there. And we're going to do, it's not everyone's favourite, I know, a little bit of squatting. Okay, so you can use a block under your heels. Now, you need a back of a chair or something stable, really, to do this. This, you know, if I press on here, it's going to go over. So I've got a breakfast bar here that I can use there. So, you need to be arms length away. You have your feet apart. You're going to go down into a squat. So I'm kind of hanging down here. So the tail is going to drop me down. And then I'm just dropping on the exhalation, dropping down. If you haven't got anything, you just have to imagine it and lift up there. And be careful it's something stable if you've got your hands on here. So, first of all, we're going to drop the head through now. And tuck the tummy in and tuck the tail under. And then just drop it. Now, can you come up to standing from there without touching anything? And then we're going to go down again and have that sort of hang. Now you can have a block ready to put under your heels if you need it. That's up to you. Let's see how. And going down. So it's got to be the right length away, isn't it? Need to adjust that. Then letting go and doing that hanging down, which is really nice. And can you let go? Stretch up a little bit, tail down. Breathing in, lift. Breathing out, tail down. You can even fold your arms if you like. You can rest on your knees. Chest up a little if you can. Now, those pelvic floor and deep abdominal muscles have got to work now, haven't they? Breathing in, breathing out. Can you bring the tail down? Carefully if you're not going to fall back. And then can you come up from there, breathing in. Down into a squat. on the out breath. And can you bring your knees apart, hands in namaste. Pray that you'll get up again. Breathe in and lift and lengthen. And breathe out and down. Have a little twist one side.
20 minutes gone.
And twist the other side. And stretch up. One more squat. Yes. Breathing in, breathing out. And another little hang if you like. That's rather nice. Might want to come in a little bit. Breathe in as you breathe out. Can you get that tail to drop more? Breathing in, breathing out. Can you let go? Keep the arms there. And breathe in and come up. You can do that for a couple of more times if you like. It's quite good on the legs. Just once more then. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, coming up. Back to Tadasana. Okay, we're going to do Warrior 1 now. So come to the end of your mat and turn the left toes up a little bit, step forward with the right. Try to line up the hips, bend the knee into a right angle or almost a right angle. And sweep the arms up. Let the heavy tail down. You might want to ease forward a little bit with the front leg. Arms strong. Breathe in, breathe out, tail down. Abdominal muscles working. If you're secure, you can look up. Breathe. And then we're going to do reverse warrior. Bring the left hand behind your left thigh. Lift the right one up and back. So a little bit of a back bend. Breathe. And down. Okay. And step back again. Bring the right toes out a little bit. Step forward with the left leg. Adjust the hips. Keep the toes spread. Bend the left knee. Be stable on the outside of the right foot. Spread all the toes. Stretch the arms up. Breathe in, breathing out. Drop that heavy tail. Engage the lower abdomen. Arms up. Back leg strong. Breathing in, breathing out. Again. Drop that heavy tail. You might need to adjust the front leg forward a little bit more. And if you're stable, look up. Lengthen. Bring the right hand to the back of the right thigh. Breathe in, lift up and back. Breathe. And then bring the other arm up. Step forward. And then release that now. Now we're going to try and go slowly into Warrior 3 without any support or anything, but if you know it's difficult to balance and you've got something near you to balance, that's fine. So in about the middle of the mat, and we're going to be on the right leg first, so nice and stable. Spread the toes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to slowly start to bring the left leg back and come forward. Slowly. Just lengthen the arms. Slow. Now, if I disappear into the bookcase, well, you better switch me off. Okay, so switch Forward with the arms, back with the legs, stretching the heel, toe down. The plant behind me is telling me that the leg's going up. And see how you go with that long tail stretching back. And it's stretching back along where this left leg's going back. And then come slowly out of that. Come back to a good strong Tadasana. And then we've got to balance on the left leg and bring the right arm back. But slowly. Try not to think of the end product as much as the journey. So, spinning all the toes and everything. Start to move this right leg back. So this has got to be straight. You've got to engage your tummy muscles, haven't you? Yeah, you can start. Oh, I won't tell you. You start to think what you're going to do next to keep stable. So I'm stretching my arms and stretching my leg back, stretching the heel back, toes down. I'm a bit wobbly on this left leg. This feet mat's a bit wobbly in the carpet and all the rest of it. That's my excuse. And then hold if you can, breathe. Come down with a bit of control. Have a little wiggle out. And then you put your legs up. So you can do it just lying on the mat or on the wall. So very briefly, that would be nice. And you can bring your hands underneath your bottom or the blocks better really. So just get where you can comfortably get. So you can slip it up under. Sink from there and then wiggle along so you're well on the block if you're using a block. In the knees in, and then you can really feel you're stable before you stretch your arms, your legs up, arms off the side a little bit, and the heavy tail is now stretched along the floor away from you. Okay, you can have it stretched out behind your legs really and helping you to lift your legs. How about that? How about bringing the tail, the end of the tail, between your feet and stretching it up? It'll still be heavy on the other end of it. Let's see how that feels for you. I find it helps a bit to think of being stable there and lifting there to straighten the legs a bit more, especially as I'm not doing it against the wall, because the lower abdomen has to stay down and make sure you're well supported if you've got a block underneath there. Then we just do a few breaths there. And on the exhalation, so pressing down on the block or the floor with the sacrum, and then stretching up with the legs. Can you do that to the same degree? If you really use your core for this. Then you can let go a bit, so relax the tummy a bit, relax the legs a little bit, the knees will bend a little bit probably. And then start to bend the knees in. Come into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. Slip the block out. If you're by a wall, you can just bring your heels down the wall. If you're lying down, can you walk your heels in any more? And just release there, just for a breath or two. Relax all around the pelvic area. On the thighs and knees. And then knees together. Bring the knees in. folds round the knees and just below the knees. And interlock the fingers, chin and shoulders down. Breathe in, breathing out, forehead to knee, knees to forehead, and you're tucked into a little ball there. And just bring the knees apart, look at the feet and smile at the toes. and going down. And again once more. Keep the chin tucked in as you come up. Chin in, up, breathe, keep the knees closer, and release. There, and then roll on to the side and come up. And come to sitting in Dandasana with the belt. Now, what did I do with it? So, moving the flesh of the bottom back, stretching the heels, bringing in the belt round your heels, and round your hands, and sit up. Stretch the heels away from you. Sitting up, and again, lower abdomen working. Lumbar, how does it feel? You should get that little bit of a curve, and your natural curve there. And sitting up.
10 minutes gone.
And then going into a soft Paschimottanasana. Breathing in, breathing out, and bending forward. Now as you breathe out, suck the tummy back and in. Forward. Just hold where you can hold, sides of your legs or sides of your feet, and just lift the elbows up. As you breathe out, release the head down. Keep the legs working, straight and stretched. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. A couple of breaths. Stretch forward and up and down. And you can get ready for Shavasana now. And if you want to, you can have your feet on the mat. And another thing which is quite nice, because then you can rest your lumbar and everything. Or you can have a nice cushion or rolled blanket underneath your knees and lie down. And that's really nice because that's a bit bigger than this one. And a rolled blanket's quite nice, and that's really restful for your back as well. If you want to bring your feet on the mat, they have to feel quite stable so you can relax. Or what you can do is bring your knees together and feet out, and that's quite stable. So anyway, get into your comfortable position, and you can let the tail go now. Make sure you're really comfortable so that you can be still in a very relaxed, soft way. And particularly from your pelvis down to your feet. Feet up to your pelvis, very heavy now with your legs. Soften the tummy, pelvis, ribs and chest, your back feeling soft and fluid. Let it go. Shoulders down away from your ears, arms rolled out, heavy from shoulders to fingertips, from fingertips to shoulders, the palms of your hands like empty glass, just let them go. And then release all the small bones and muscles of your face. Your jaw, your throat, tongue, eyes soft like cotton wool, back of your head. Corners of your eyes soft, your forehead soft. Just being aware of the breath, softening now, you're still. The breath doesn't have to do very much, it's hardly noticeable. Just focus on the peace and silence in your heart. Slowly bringing your attention to your body. Just move your hands and your feet around a little bit. And bend the knees in, roll onto the right side. And push and come up very slowly. Come to sitting with your legs crossed or in a comfortable position, lifting your spine. Closing your eyes for a moment. And I've got a little story for you from a book called The Deep Breath of Life, and this little story is called Experience Not Opinion, and I thought it was appropriate because we're a lot of staying home a lot, but this is also staying at home in your mind, and don't recite the opinions of others, as we've been talking about people, you know, the good, the bad and the ugly and all that. Vinny was a fellow with whom I enjoyed working. He was always very kind to me and he followed through on his business agreements. When I spoke to others about him, I heard quite a different story. I was astounded by the number of people he had managed to alienate, all of whom complained about his lack of integrity. When one of Vinny's competitors invited me to break my association with him and work with the other guy instead, I had to dig into my soul to determine my truth. While it was obvious that Vinny had created poor business relationships with nearly everyone else, that was not my experience with him. For whatever reason, he had shown me only kindness and fairness. I realised I would be out of integrity if I jumped ship because other people had had a bad experience with him. I told the other fellow that I was satisfied working with Vinny, and until I had experience to the contrary, I would stay with him. No matter what experiences other people create, we have only our own to go by. Looking back, I see that it would have been cruel and unkind of me to leave Vinny because other people did not like him. My relationship with him was what it was, and it did not depend on what other people thought of him. In the film A Man for All Seasons, Thomas More was an English nobleman who faced extreme pressure to side with a criminal king. More was brought before a kangaroo court of his peers and urged to sign an oath of allegiance, in inverted commas, for the sake of camaraderie. More's response was, "When you go to heaven following your conscience, and I go to hell for not following mine, will you join me there for the sake of camaraderie?" So honour your friends by being true to your own experience. And say to yourself an affirmation: I create according to my own consciousness. So open your eyes now if you have them closed. Have a good week. Namaste.